Good evening, everybody. So this is a rarity. We actually are, depending on how this goes, I'll be posting the video for the review before a lot of you actually get the review. The test is going to be on Tuesday, so I want to make sure that you guys have all of tomorrow to have access to this review, and regardless of what class you're in. And again, my cat Cleo is saying hello. We're just screaming that wow, because she's constantly surprised at anything. Okay, so as I said last time, in this review, I will not be doing all of it. I will simply be doing, I'm going to go odds today. So, starting on number 1. So, name the relationship. So, it's important here that we understand that when we're naming the relationship, if it gives you 3 options, those are the only 3 options that you have. A common mistake on drinking coffee. A common mistake on the last test was that people would see words that weren't even like alternate interior was one. Alternate interior was given as an option for the multiple choice, but because we hadn't gone over what alternate interior angles were, I'm never gonna quiz you guys or test you guys on something that you don't know. So here, what I would do is, if I were you, because this is a test, so it's going to be open note, I would go and I would grab your cheat sheet that I said was oh so important, and I would go, okay, what are 4 and 6? And I would see that they are alternate interior angles. Okay, do the same for 2, and then you come up to 3. And again, so 3 is a little weird, because, and not like mathematically weird, but just weird from how you would see it. And so what I would recommend is simply, whoa, that's not what I want to do. What I would recommend is simply taking your paper and kind of rotating it. Let's see if I can quick rotate this. What just happened? Yeah, anyway. And that would give me these lines here, they're parallel. And then we've got these lines here, or at least we've got that one line, and here is B and A, and I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, it ends up being 4 and 6, which are again alternate interior. Now we need to find the measure of angle B. So we're going past figuring out what the relationship is and trying to figure out what that relationship means. So again, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 4 and 6 alternate interior. We look at our cheat sheet and we see that when 2 parallel lines are crossed by a transversal, the alternate interior angles are congruent. So that means that B is 65 degrees. And just like that, we're on number 7. Same general idea. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We look at our cheat sheet, have a sip of coffee, because that's what we always do. And we see that 1 and 7 are alternate exterior angles, and that alternate exterior angles are also congruent. So keep in mind that all of these are either going to be congruent or they're going to be supplementary. When you're dealing with angles caused by a transversal, those are really the only options you have, congruent or supplementary. So here, because they're congruent, we know that B equals 121 degrees. If they were supplementary, which they're not, then B would equal 180 minus 121, which would be 59 degrees. But because they're supplementary, and they're not supplementary, they are congruent, we look at 121. So next group of problems, we're just upping the difficulty a little bit. Here, again, what I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you just rotate your paper, you'll see that. So this 5x plus 4 is actually going to go right there. So we have 3 and 5. So 3 and 5 again are going to be congruent because they're alternate interior angles. So we go 69 equals 5x plus 4. Subtract 4 from both sides. We get 65 equals 5x. Divide by 5. And I get 13 equals x. And being that all we're asked to do is find the value of x, we're good to go. 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 2 and 8 alternate exterior. That means that they're congruent, which means that their measures are equal. So we have 3x plus 2 equals 128 degrees. Subtract 2, that's the subtraction property of equality. 3x equals 126 degrees. Divide both sides by 3, division property of equality, and we get x equals 42. So find the measure of the angle indicated in bold. Now it's pretty obvious on my paper which one's bold. It's a little less obvious on your paper. So while we think about that, have a cup of coffee. I'll give a quick shout out to everyone, including Solana, who is subscribed. Just thank you guys for actively participating and doing your best. So here, these two, and frankly, we don't even really care about any of this because those two are just a linear pair. And linear pairs are adjacent supplementary. Since we know they're supplementary, we know that they add up to 180. So what I like to do in cases like this is I like to rewrite them by putting everything with like terms. It's going to give me 2x equals 202. That's not right. It's not equals. It is plus 202 equals 180. Now I want you guys to pay careful attention here because when we subtract 202, something interesting is going to happen. We're going to get 2x equals negative 22. Now some of you guys might freak out a little bit here, but I want you to remember that it's okay if x is negative. What's not okay is if the overall angle is negative. Okay, it's like when we're doing segment addition postulate. It's okay if x is negative, just total distance of a segment can't be negative. So here we have negative 11, and then, so we're going to put that back in there. Negative 11 plus 71 equals 60. Moving on to number 15. Okay, so here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When we look at 2 and 6 on our cheat sheet, we see that they're corresponding. The corresponding angles, when two parallel lines are crossed by transversal, corresponding angles are congruent. It's kind of the heart and soul of geometry, that statement right there. We have 21x minus 7. Because they're congruent, it means their measures are equal. So we're going to add 7 to both sides. That gives me 21x equals 19x plus 14. We're going to subtract 19x from both sides. And we get 2x equals 14. Divided both sides by 2. And we get x equals 7. Now again, on a lot of problems this would be the end. But because here it specifically says find the measure of the angle, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and plug it in. Now again, it's really easy for me to tell that bottom angle is the one that's bolded. Might be a little bit more difficult for you guys. If so, always feel free to ask. But in this case, where they're congruent, it doesn't really matter because you're going to end up with the same answer. So that turns into 19 times 7 plus 7, which is 140 degrees. Okay, now we're on to 17. Same general idea. When we check 1 and 7, we see that they are alternate exterior angles, which are congruent, which means that their measures are equal. We subtract 9x from both sides. We get x equals 10. We plug 10 either into here or into here. We're going to get the measure of the angle is 100 degrees. Okay, write the equation of the described line in slope-intercept form. So here, where they give us slope-intercept, we know that slope-intercept equals y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So we go y equals, and then instead of our slope, we're going to put what they gave us, negative 1/2 x. And then plus b, instead of plus b, we're going to put our y-intercept, which is negative 2. And that's it. 21's a bit trickier because they don't give you it in slope-intercept form or really hand you the information needed. But we talked about this before, and this is called standard form. This is ax plus by equals c. When you learn I just completely lost my train of thought. Anyway, when you're going from standard form to slope-intercept, it's just solve for y. So we're always going to start off by moving over our x term. And the reason for that is because we want to get this done with as quickly as possible and as precisely as possible. So getting it to a point where all we have to do is dump the coefficient for y is pretty easy. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Divide both sides by 8. And we end up with y equals negative 3/8 x minus 33/8. Next, 23. This is in point slope. So point slope, again, we're going to solve for y. But first what we have to do is order of operations, distribute that 1/3. It's going to be 1/3 x, 1/3 of 3 is just 1. So when I subtract 3 from both sides, I end up with y equals 1/3 x minus 2. Next up, we have through a point with a given slope. Now keep in mind all of these we're wanting to put in slope-intercept form. So we look at these and go, okay, well, how do I create a line form? And if they're giving a point and a slope, we're going to use point slope. Remember, point slope is y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1, where x1 and y1 are a point given, and m is the slope. So here we're going to go y minus a negative 1, because this is x1, y1. And it's not a plus, it's an equal. Equals, and then instead of slope, we're going to put 5/6. And then we're going to go x minus negative 5. So that gives us y plus 1 equals 5/6x plus 5. We're going to subtract 1 from both sides. So we get y equals 5/6. Oh, I totally forgot to... That's wrong. It's 5/6 times x plus 5. So we're not there yet. We're going to keep y plus 1 equals, and then we go 5/6x, and then we're multiplying it, and we get 25/6. Because if I go 5/6 times 5, that turns into 5/1. We multiply the top, we multiply the bottom, and that's where 25/6 come from. So when we're subtracting 1, we're subtracting 6/6. So y equals 5/6x plus 25 minus 6 is 19/6, or 3 1/6. Either one of those would be okay. 27, we're amping up the difficulty just a little bit more, because not only do we not have really any relevant information regarding slope or anything like that, we have 2 points. So we're going to start off by identifying the points. I'm going to go x1, y1, x2, y2. And we need to find slope. Remember, slope is the difference in y over the difference in x. So our slope here is going to be 1 minus 0 over negative 3 minus a negative 4. So that's 1 over negative 3 plus 4, which is 1/1, which is 1. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to pick one of these and just plug in to slope, or not. We need to pick one of the points as point slope and then solve. So again, I'll do this twice just to show everyone that it really doesn't matter which point you pick. If I pick the first ones, y minus 0 is y, equals 1 times x plus 4, or y equals x plus 4. And just to double check, if I wanted to go y minus 1, then we put our slope 1, x minus a negative 3, So we end up with y minus 1 equals x plus 3. Add 1 to both sides, and we get y equals x plus 4. So again, next one up, we're going to amp up the difficulty a little bit. So here, it's important that you understand what the question's asking. So the question's asking what is parallel to, and then it gives the equation for a line. So because it says parallel, all we're really worrying about is the slope. So we know it goes through this point, has a parallel slope, which is the same slope. I'm not sure what just happened there. But, so it goes through that point with that slope. Parallel lines have identical slopes. So really we know that the slope is negative 3/4. So now that we have a point and a slope, we can plug it into point slope. And then sorry, give me a second. And then change it into Slope-Intercept. So this is going to end up looking like y plus 2 equals negative 3/4 times x plus 4. And then we're going to distribute that 3/4. So we get 3/4 x plus hold on, make this a little bit neater. So we have 3/4 x plus 3. How that works is if I have 3/4 times 4, that would give me 12 over 4, or 3. Subtract 2 from both sides. We end up with y equals 3/4 x plus 1. Okay, 31, kind of the same general idea, except 31, it's perpendicular. So we know that this line that they give us has a slope of negative 1. To be perpendicular, we need to flip that upside down. Easy for us, because that's 1 over 1 or 0 over 0 would be the slope, not 0 over 0, anything else. So we end up with y minus 0 equals x, slope, which is 1, times like so. So that gives us y equals x plus 5. Okay, so perpendicular to y equals 0. Y equals 0 is just the x-axis right here. So if it goes through point 1, negative 1, 0, and it's perpendicular, that means that it's this right here, and the equation of that is that. Moving on. Oh, that's it. Yay! We're done. If you have any questions, let me know. Good luck, everyone. I'll see you guys in class.